Hey guys, this is Psychoman here, and in this video I'm going to be showing you how to make a working Lego flamethrower for your minifigures. So what you're going to need for this flamethrower is a lighter. Now this is going to act as your fuel and the means to propel your fuel, because lighters already have gas that's compressed. Then you're going to need a floppy rubbery tube, and I haven't thought of too many substitutes for this. This is pretty important because this is the piece that's going to attach your lighter to your flamethrower. So just root around, see if you can find anything that's got a small hole that runs through the whole thing, and I'll show you how to attach that and what size you're looking for in a second. Now you're also going to need a straw piece like this, and this you can find inside of pens, so that's not as hard to find. Then you're going to need the needle point of a needle nose pump, so for like pumping basketballs and soccer balls, and these are pretty cheap. You can pick those up at some sports stores and such. And then you're just going to need to cut off the little piece that has these threads on it at the end to screw it into your pump, because you're not going to be needing that for this. Now you're also going to need two pieces that fit in Lego figures hands. These are just two junky pieces that I got, and those are going to work as your handles for the flamethrower. And then one of the more important pieces again is a tip of a pen. Now this is from an old ballpoint pen that I yanked apart, and then used a needle to push out the little bearing in the end that acted as the ball point. And now if I can line this up really nicely here, let's see if it will focus on it. It doesn't want to focus, but it does. There is a hole now that goes straight through here. And what this is going to do is, when you put it at the end of your flamethrower, it will narrow the gas to a very small stream that will propel it out much faster, and you'll get a much longer flame. So now that I've talked about all the components that you need, let's get on to building it. Okay, so the very first thing you're going to need to do is take off the metal guard on your lighter. So usually you can just pry them off. Sometimes you need a screwdriver or a wrench to help it out, but they usually just come off with a bit of work. Now you can see we've got our little end piece here, that when I push down on the back here, it releases gas. So now you're going to take your all-important rubber tube here and just slide it over this little end, and you want to make sure it's a very tight fit. You don't want it falling off at all, because then when you're using your flamethrower, if it suddenly fell off, you could suddenly be spewing gas out of here, and that would be very dangerous. So you got to make sure it's a very tight fit, and once you do, you're going to take a little bit of super glue and very, very carefully dab it on to the outside of your lighter. And I say very carefully because you do not want to be sticking it over the nozzle hole, which would prevent gas from coming out completely, and that would be, well, that would ruin the lighter. Okay, so the next step is gluing your needle pump piece here into the rubber. So once again, like gluing the lighter on, you want to make sure you do not cover the hole at all, just get it a little on the outside here. So let me just pop the glue away. And now we're just gonna, since this is slightly bigger than the lighter, it's gonna take a little more to work in. and then you just want to get it as far in as you can. So that should probably be about good. Give that a second to dry, and then you're done with your fuel source. Now we can move on to the actual okay, so now you're going to want to take your pen tube, or your little tube straw piece here, cut it in half so that it's long enough to fit over the needle pipe here, and also your pen end here, your ballpoint pen end, like that. Then you can put your gas tank contraption aside, and we're going to glue the pen end right here inside the tube. So mine is actually a little loose compared to the tube, so I'm going to make sure I get glue all the way around so there's no gas leakage at the end here. But again, make sure you do not cover the end at all. You can try to strain it out, and I might put a little bit of glue around the end here as well, just to be absolutely sure that nothing is going to leak out. Alright. Okay, so the last step to completing this flamethrower is adding the handles. So now you're going to want to take a Lego minifigure and put your two Lego pieces in his hands so you get the exact distance apart that you want. Now you're going to take your barrel end piece here with the pen tip on it. You're just going to line it up and see where you want it with the handles. Then you're going to take some glue, put a little drop of glue on each of the handles, and hold it in place. Now, once you've done the initial glue, I suggest that you reinforce it, maybe by adding some layers of thicker glue on top, or if you don't have any thicker glue than the stuff I'm using salt to make little glue mounds around the handles to make sure they're very strong. So from here, all you have to do is basically decorate it up, make it look pretty, and it's ready to go. You can see if I take my little gas tank here, oh my goodness. So you can see that's what a bad glue job is, so I'm gonna have to go re-glue that. But you can take your gas tank here, slide it on, hopefully your glue holds, and your minifigure is ready to go. Just make sure you have a little match or a pilot light, and then hold the match up front, press down the back of your lighter. Remember, you do not have to flick it to make the sparks, just press it down and the gas should come out. And that's it. Okay, so just a few things to note before we get into burning some stuff. So number one, I switched out the front handle here for a smaller plastic piece. That way you only have to line up the back handle in their hand, and then this one you kind of just slides in. I was having a little bit of difficulty getting them both to fit into a Lego figure's hand, so that makes it a lot easier. Two, you may notice this large amount of glue around here, and I was finding these joints very weak, so I had to put a whole bunch of glue to make sure it was strong. Then I added this little cone piece for aesthetics on the front, painted it black, added a little bit of silver weathering, and boom, there you have it. So now the next thing to do is plug in our fuel tank here. I got it on some wheels so the guy can roll it around, and go burn some stuff. So let's get right to that. Alright guys, so now that we have our flamethrower here, we're gonna be burning some stuff. So the first target is this paper blob here. Random paper blob. Should be entertaining enough once that gets alight. But a few things I want to mention before we do that. Number one is there's a little gear on this lighter. Sometimes there's like a little switch on other lighters, but that changes the flow of gas that comes out. So I've just turned that gear to make sure there's maximum gas coming out of here, so we should get a nice big flame. So I'll move that back out of the way. Number 2, always safety first. I've got a big jug of water sitting on the side ready to put anything out that gets out of control. And also I taped the back of here to make sure there's absolutely no leakage coming out of the back of the flamethrower. So let's light some things up. I'm gonna grab a matched X as my pilot light here and pull down the lighter. There we go. Let's move it into the paper a bit more here. There we go. Ah, it's nice to see the flames of achievement. So I'll let that burn down a bit more and let's move on to our next target. So I'm sure you've heard of the saying, it's impossible to find a needle in a haystack. Well, we're gonna see if we can prove that wrong. So right here I got a needle and we got our haystack. Well, it's a little more like a grass pile, but we're gonna stick our needle right in here on the top and we're gonna see if we can burn away all of this grass and find the needle. So let's get to it. Oh, that was a bad match. I love the sound it makes. Wow, that was disappointing. Alright, so that last test was a little disappointing, but it sure proved that even with a flamethrower you can't find a needle in a haystack. So we're going to move on to our finale here. Got a wooden popsicle stick house here to burn down. If you guys remember my previous like a flamethrower video, I burnt down a paper house, so this is a bit of a step up using popsicle sticks, and we're gonna see if this little guy is up to the challenge. So let's get burning. So there is a little piece of paper inside that's gonna help burn this up. Oh my god. Wow, that was really smoky there for a second. But if I zoom out a bit, you can see the whole top's on fire. Oh, there goes the wall. There goes the other wall. And boom, it's all down. Wow. This guy made very short work of that. Fortunately, the tube fell off there at the end, but you can see him there. Whatever, I'll leave that there. So I hope you guys enjoyed this slightly crazy video here. If any of you are going to attempt to do this, please use lots of caution and make sure everything is very safe before going about burning things, because fire can be extremely dangerous in the wrong situation. Otherwise, Subscribe if you want to see more LEGO related content like this. God bless. Have a great day. This is Sakmed signing out.